Alright, welcome to TriMet 101. Today I'm going to be explaining the Better Red project and what it's doing and why this new Gateway North station actually works. I don't really have a script, I just have bullet points, so I'm going to attempt to explain this as concisely as I can while not making the video 7 hours long. So let's begin with how it used to operate. So Red Line trains going toward the airport would serve Gateway Transit Center just like the rest of the MAX trains would. And then, after leaving the airport, trains would use this special piece of track, which has been nicknamed the fish hook, because it's kind of shaped like a fish hook. And trains would just stay on this as a single track, and it stayed as a single track for quite a ways, before it branched finally into two tracks, going through a tunnel and ending up in the median of I-205. So then, if you were coming back from the airport, then you would do this in reverse. You'd go through the tunnel, go underneath I-205, and then it closes into a single track, which that already limits capacity on this line by quite a bit, and if there's a delay on one train in one direction, it will absolutely affect a train going in the other direction. Well, anyways, the train stays on a single track, goes through the fish hook again going the other direction, and ends up on the wrong rail, more or less, entering Gateway. And so trains going toward Portland, Red Line trains going toward Portland, would have to switch over to the center track and would serve the middle track at Gateway Transit Center, being the only trains that would serve it. So the Better Red project was born, which aimed to double track all of the single track segments on the existing alignment. And so, here's how they did that. Trains going toward Portland Airport do the exact same thing. They do the exact same thing. I recorded this video here on Monday, March 4th, which was the day that the new Gateway North station opened. So trains going toward the airport still service Gateway Transit Center just like they did before, and they take the fish hook track. However, you'll notice as you ride the train through this general area that it is still a single track. It branches into two tracks, but that second track now just abruptly ends as a storage track, and there is a different westbound Red Line train track for trains heading back toward Portland. So let's explain that in a little better detail. Trains coming out of the airport and going toward Portland end up going on a brand new structure and going and flying over the existing Red Line track going toward PDX. And instead, the train is on its own right-of-way and serves a new station at Gateway North. And this new station is the first new MAX station in 9 years. It's the biggest MAX project since the MAX Orange line, which is very cool to see. Anyways, the train serves this station and then just very simply takes a right-hand turn to join up with the rest of the MAX tracks, and then it's on its way back to Portland. So Red Line trains heading back toward Portland and Beaverton do not service the main area at Gateway Transit Center, instead servicing the new Gateway North platform. So now I'd like to explain what exactly this solves. And it really all comes down to the bottleneck at Gateway. So Red Line trains heading toward Beaverton caused the biggest problem here, because they still had to use the fish hook, they still had to use all this single track segment, and then go in the wrong direction entering Gateway and finally switch over, all of which had to be done at very low speeds. So if there was a delay on one train, didn't even need to be a Red Line train, it could affect all of the other trains on the system just because of that pinch point at Gateway. The new Gateway North station eliminates this entirely by completely removing all of those conflict points and instead just putting its own dedicated platform off to the side. And so now there's pretty much just one conflict point, and it's trains leaving the Gateway North platform, joining onto the existing bridge to go to, say, 82nd Avenue or anywhere further west. That's the only conflict point now, and the entire Red Line is now double track. so it solved a lot of reliability hiccups that used to exist. So why not have Red Line trains going to the airport at this new Gateway North platform? Well, because it would have required even more construction and even more funding. And so this solution is good enough for now, but I will talk about this in more detail at the end. So I'd like to talk about things I found interesting on this new project that I wasn't actually expecting. And first things first, TriMet was very smart when they designed this. For trains heading toward the airport, like I mentioned earlier, it splits into two tracks because you come off of the fishhook as a single track, and it splits into two. That split point is where the old alignment went from two tracks into one. But TriMet decided to just keep the tracks here anyways, and now it's used as a really long storage track, which is kinda smart. Having extra storage tracks is usually a good thing. Yes, it's more infrastructure to maintain, but if the infrastructure was already there, there's no real reason to rip it up. Instead, repurpose it into a new storage track. So it means that very briefly through this area, there are actually 3 tracks, which is very interesting. Another thing I found interesting is how fast the approach is to the Gateway North station. I was not expecting it to be 55 miles an hour, and so it definitely feels faster, especially since you don't have to slow down, go into a single track, turn all the way around on the fishhook. You just simply approach Gateway North, and then that's it. You just join up with the rest of the westbound trains along I-84 immediately after the Gateway North station. And speaking of the approach to Gateway Transit Center, here's something else weird. At least on the train I was on, there is no announcement for this new Gateway North station. There's absolutely no announcement at all. So instead, it just said nothing, and then in between the Gateway Transit Center and 82nd Avenue stations, it randomly said, Gateway, Northeast 99th Avenue Transit Center. So the announcements haven't really been updated yet, at least not on the train I was on. I don't know if the Type 4s and 5s have it, as I was not on one through this particular section, but hopefully that does get updated, and hopefully they don't reuse the existing Gateway message for Gateway North. Gateway North should be its own message, it is its own station, and all of the signage on the station says Gateway North. I also really like the huge sidewalk that leads up to this general area. You can tell that they have plans of having that go all the way through as the I-205 bike path and to Gateway Green Park. And they sort of separated the station platform from the rest of the sidewalk, but it's a huge sidewalk. I also got car number 105 going into Gateway North, which is a pretty rare-ish thing, at least it will be in probably a few months once the Type 1s are gone. These trains don't really have that much time left, so I knew I had to get a video of one going into the Gateway North platform. This is going to be a very short-lived thing to see, because once the Type 6 trains enter service, the Type 1s will be out of service. So, what's left? There is still one upcoming shutdown that's actually coming up very soon. I believe it starts in just a few days on Saturday. There's a MAX shutdown, but it's in Hillsboro, and it will not affect this particular area of Portland, and it will not affect this part of the project. It's just signal work and other electrical infrastructure work. Service to the Fair Complex MAX station will complete the project entirely, and that will happen on August 25th. Starting August 25th of this year, Red Line trains will now operate between Fair Complex and Portland Airport and will no longer turn around at Beaverton Transit Center. I don't know if some late night trips will turn around at Beaverton Transit Center. That's up to whatever the future holds for us, but it's very exciting because the Better Red project is really wrapping up quick. And this is a major piece of the puzzle right here, is this new Gateway North platform. The Type 6 trains should also enter service before this entire project is done, because TriMet purchased 4 extra Type 6s just for the Better Red project. So they need to have at least those in service by the time this project is done. And now for that future project idea. You might be able to hear an airplane flying outside. But now time for a future project idea that I have, and that would be to, yes, build another flyover track for the Red Line trains going into the airport. It would also serve Gateway North, but the track has to be a flyover. If you want maximum reliability, it has to be a flyover. The tracks should go up and over the existing tracks leading into Gateway Transit Center. And that way you could demolish the fish hook entirely and get rid of all of that, and instead there would be a new flyover track to an upper level at Gateway North, I suppose, and then the tracks would descend to the regular level at that point. And the reason it has to be a flyover and you can't just like build a track that skates across the existing tracks over to Gateway North is because that does the opposite of increasing reliability, creating a ton of conflict points for trains going in the other direction. It has to be a flyover to maximize efficiency and reliability. With all of that being said, I am now going to stop talking and I will show you all the clips I recorded without commentary, and so you can hear and see the full experience. Thank you for watching.
Northeast 99th Avenue Transit Center. Doors to the right. Transfer to Blue and Green Line trains. Transferencia a los trenes de la línea azul y verde. Gateway, Northeast 99th Avenue Transit Center. Doors to the right. Transfer to Blue and Green Line trains. Transferencia a los trenes de la línea azul y verde. Eastbound Red Line train to Portland Airport. Línea roja en dirección este hacia el aeropuerto de Portland. The doors are closing. Train departing. Please hold on. Valid and correct fare is required on TriMet. Se requiere tener un boleto válido y correcto al viajar en TriMet. Smoking is prohibited on buses, trains, and TriMet property. Está prohibido fumar en autobuses, trenes y propiedades de TriMet. train to Beaverton Transit Center. Línea roja en dirección oeste a Beaverton Transit Center. The doors are closing. Train departing. Please hold on. Westbound Red Line train to Beaverton Transit Center. Línea roja en dirección oeste a